Hello, hello, and welcome back to Baki Taki Season 4, Episode 11, The Weak Eats the Mighty. What a great name for what's hopefully a great episode, and we've actually got a new guest, never before on the pod. It's Pankhuri.
Hi. I do like the title. I really love a good spoiler-filled title.
Yeah, it gives you a taste of what's to come. Pankhuri, for all of my new guests on the podcast, I have a few questions I just like to ask so the viewers can get just a sense to know you, I guess a better way of phrasing it. Okay. Other than Baki, what shows have you currently been watching or watched recently?
Unfortunately, whatever I'm watching right now, I will have no overlap with Baki. I just finished watching Ted Lasso, and now that we're getting into spooky season, I'm working on a list of spooky movies to watch. So there'll be a lot of grudge and stuff in the coming days.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Lindsay just watched a spooky movie. Or both of us, we saw, what was it? Death in Venice, or A Haunting in Venice.
Ooh, is that good? I heard okay reviews.
Yeah, I would give it an okay review as well.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, well, not bad, yeah. Not good. Anyway, well, those seem like quality things. And so my second question is, before you watched this episode, what did you know about Baki?
I knew that you had the podcast, and I knew that Christian had been on a few episodes. So the only thing I had heard about Baki consistently enough for me to remember it is that it sucks. Unfortunately. That's all I'd heard is how bad it is. So to be fair, I had my expectations set. I was not surprised at all by that episode.
Oh, it didn't exceed your expectations? You weren't proven wrong, or?
No, I mean, I wasn't proven wrong at all.
All right.
But look, I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'm not big on anime, so people who do like anime might have a very different experience.
Yes. And my big disclaimer with people who have come on the show and haven't watched a lot of anime is that not all anime is like Baki, unfortunately or fortunately. You were saying you've watched one other show. What was that?
I watched season 1 of Castlevania because it came very highly recommended.
Okay.
And honestly, it didn't suck. I didn't hate it. I'm not big on gore, so it wasn't the kind of thing that I could keep watching. But it was fine. There was a scene with an eye tied around a light pole. Just an eye.
Ooh.
Which got me.
Yeah. No, thank you. I'm surprised Christian didn't make you watch Edge Runners or anything.
Oh, right. I have watched Edge Runners. I'm sorry. I forgot about that one. I watched that. But, Christian and I will always disagree about that show. This is not an argument I'm willing to have again, but it's not a fact. Good show. So get away, another way to feel what you did on yourself to know and let yourself go. Hate the ending.
All right. Well, let's get into Baki. This episode, we're picking up where we left off last week with the Pickle versus Baki fight. Everybody's in the arena. And Pankhuri, why don't you set the scene? Like, what did you think was going on as the episode started?
Okay, I'll be honest. When the episode started, I read the summary that Netflix has, which was just, Baki is reeling from his injuries from his fight with Pickle. So when the episode started, I was expecting the fight to be over, but it wasn't. But the stage was set very, Pickle is extremely strong and he's big and he's gonna crush Baki. And the whole episode was just Baki kicking the shit out of Pickle. Which I thought was excellent.
It's very true, goes into the title, the weak.
I learned the mighty. I know. I learned of a few fighting styles that I think Albert Einstein might have some problems with, but other than that, it was excellent.
Yeah, so that is true. So the episode starts, and Baki is, of course, reeling from a hit at the end of the last episode.
That's all I could do. The impact of falling from 30 meters. It's like getting hammered in the solar plexus by a powerful kick. Incredible pain. Difficulty breathing.
So specifically, he fell 30 meters out of the air, and, that leaves some lasting side effects. Do you think...
Oh, see, that makes sense. Why he did that move again.
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
that must have been quite confusing.
Yeah, I was a little confused. Like at one point he said death is the best camouflage, and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. What do you mean? But now I mean the death part doesn't make sense, but the rest makes sense.
Yeah, to be fair, even with context, it's not exactly a clear move.
No, it does not add up. I watched the episode twice because I thought maybe I missed something the first time, but no, it doesn't make any more sense the second time.
Oh man, I love the dedication. So yeah, so Baki starts the episode. He's like a shell of himself, and they do, I think, a pretty good job of describing the pain that he's in, and lots of shots of internal damage to his organs.
Yeah.
At one point, it seems like he's about to just. I thought the episode was going to start with him vomiting up blood, and I thought,
Yes, but he swallowed it. It was, it was not what I was expecting to see.
That salty taste. Metallic smell. That's blood.
After that, like 5 second intro into that blood slowly coming into his mouth with all that force, he just swallowed it down and then stood there and diagnosed himself,
Yeah.
which was very impressive, especially for a 16-year-old.
it is impressive how much anatomy. And Baki, whenever we see him in the classroom, he's always asleep, but he does know every medical part about the human body.
Also, you do see him in classrooms.
Just once, he was in the classroom and everybody was shaking because of how intimidating his aura was.
That adds up. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
It was very like cartoon logic. I feel like if you have a bunch of blood in your mouth, like you're not going to feel better by swallowing all that blood. Like it's not going to go back into your body. Like I don't know. I guess
No,
technically
it's not. He spends so much time describing how bad it tastes and then just swallows it. Why would you just spit it out? Oh God.
It's a great point. Well, he doesn't want to look weak in front of the caveman, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he did look very strong while he was describing how his diaphragm is being pushed up into his ribs.
Yeah, he can't even breathe. So this part of the episode's also fun because we get to see a bit of a more playful side from Pickle. He starts sort of miming to punch Baki to show, like, don't worry, I won't actually hurt you.
All right now? Then let's play. Play with me. Baki saw that Pickle was pretending his fists weren't lethal weapon.
What did you think about Pickle? Because, like, I feel like he's different in every episode, so I want to get your thoughts on
Honestly, for me, mostly because of the way he was messing with Baki, I got a very, like you said, I got a very playful side of him. Like I did a little bit of research, but I read about him and he sounded very scary. Like he was supposed to be this big, undefeatable monster situation, primitive man. But he just seemed like an older brother fucking with Baki, which I thought was really funny. I mean, he got his ass kicked, but I thought for a while there it was funny. Also,
Yeah.
he has a baby face. For somebody who's, like, has as many muscles, I guess, that he does, he has a baby face.
His face is incredible because, like, half the time it feels like he's trying to, like, scrounge it up and look like a demon. And then the other half, he looks like Fabio. Like, he's a male model. He's got this incredible hair,
That is
perfect
true.
skin.
There was no in between. He just switched between the two.
Yeah.
Like, there's that one shot where he, like, makes himself big and, like, he has, I think, fangs or claws or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In the middle of fucking with Baki. And then he just goes back to big, dewy eyes. Just very surprising.
It's one of those things where, like, this is based on a manga, and I feel like sometimes, like, it's, typically, like, animation should have transitionary states, like he's transitions, but often it's just copying from a frame of a comic to the next, so it just cuts and he's, I don't know.
I also thought the shadow over his Pickle was interesting.
The what?
The shadow, where his groin is supposed to be.
Yes, the strategic shadow. Yes.
Very strategic shadow. Like, it moves as he moves. It was funny. It was interesting.
Oh yeah.
I like that they
they've
didn't
had to
put
use
in the
that a fair
effort to
amount.
I like that the production that doesn't put in the effort to, like, move people's mouths when they talk, but they put in the effort for that.
Yeah, no. I think if they didn't do that, we'd have to be watching this on a different service than Netflix. Unfortunately. So, let's see. Yeah, I think that about covers the beginning. Oh, I wrote down in my notes that Baki compared his fall of 30 meters to like when he fell off a jungle gym as a kid.
The impact of falling from 30 meters. It's just like the time I fell from the top of the jungle gym when I was a kid.
And I enjoyed.
I made a note of that too. I was wondering how many people would be able to relate to that, because honestly, sounds painful, but it doesn't sound as painful.
Yeah, I don't remember whenever I fell off the jungle gym just swallowing a mouthful of blood.
Oh,
after.
do you not remember ever falling through the jungle gym? You know, when you're in between and you just slip and just fall through the rods. That hurts. I can't imagine it hurts the same, but it hurts.
Yeah, no, I that's fair. So this is where it gets really fun. So Baki is, he's battered. He's so low on energy. Like he's just taken one of the worst hits he's ever taken. Pickle tried goofing with him, and eventually Pickle starts to pray for Baki, which was pretty cool.
Don't you fucking pray!
It hurt his pride a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like Baki would not have like gotten the second wind the way he did if Pickle hadn't fucked with him.
I think that's like more or less confirmed. Like the narrator basically says like the endorphins that Baki had came from him due to the absence of danger. Like,
But now, it was the absence of danger that his brain reacted to. Pickle's playful blows would not have hurt a fly, but they had struck Baki in his weakest point. They had hit him where it hurts the most, in his pride.
Yeah, Baki almost gets a power up from this. He had some good.
Baki have a fucked up relationship with his dad, where he's been like on a quest to defeat him or something.
Oh, yep. Once we finish the caveman arc, we're moving into the father-son arc for the next 15 episodes.
See, I'm seeing parallels. I'm seeing he got mad that he was underestimated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's working through some issues in this fight.
Yes. Or maybe I'm giving it more meaning than they intended for it to have.
You know, I used to say that a lot in the beginning of this this show, but I do think that there is a lot of intentional meaning in this in this anime that gets lost in it gets lost in other moments, like what we're just about to talk about, which is where Baki decides to prove that he is ready to fight by walking 30 meters back up into the air and then jumping jumping off. So when that happened, you didn't know that he had previously fell. What did you think he was doing?
It made absolutely no sense. For a second there, I thought maybe he's walking up so he can gain momentum and like crash on Pickle. That was like my best theory, but no, I had no idea. Once he fell, like once he dropped down and then just sort of flung himself back up without any pause, the whole thing seemed a little annoying. Like I didn't understand why he did that if he was just gonna stand back up. Now though, it makes sense.
Yeah, it was very dramatic, but you know what? I think it ended up being pretty cool in the end. And at this point, the real fight begins.
Yeah. It does. I really liked that the whole time they were fighting, there were just 3 people standing behind a screen asking what I was asking, which is what the fuck is going on.
What? What in the world is Pickle doing out there now?
And there was just one of them, the guy with the little ponytail, or the other guy will just pop in and offer with a quick little explanation, which was really helpful. I don't know that all episodes are like this, but I hope so.
It's funny. So I would say that is the Baki formula, is you have 2 guys fight, and then you have to have some third party that points out how cool the fight is. In this episode, it's not as glaring because these are actual martial arts people commenting on it, but like we've had fights where like it's just a random guy walking by, or like a guy who was in the bathroom and the fighters entered the bathroom. Like there's always a third dude there to comment on how cool the fight is.
I mean, that is commitment to do that season after season. Have somebody in the room.
The best fight they ever had was a guy was in a telephone booth, like those tiny little ones calling his wife, and then two 7-foot tall guys walked into it and started punching each other with him in the telephone booth. They couldn't even wind up their punches. There was no room.
That's excellent. That is real commitment to the cause.
Yeah, because he's been writing this manga for I think 30 years or something. So you got to keep things fresh. So
tell me something.
Sure.
In the guy behind the screen in the white suit, the one who I'm guessing owns all the underground boxing rings or fighting rings. Why does he have a bunch of scars on his face?
So that's actually an interesting thing. So it's actually the little old guy who owns everything. And
he's the businessman?
Mitsunari Tokugawa, the 11th generation head of the Tokugawa business empire.
Yeah, because Hanayama, the guy in the white suit, he is a Yakuza boss.
What does that mean?
Like the Japanese mafia.
Oh.
And then Tokugawa is just, a Japanese businessman who owns an underground fighting arena.
See, he just looked old and zen.
You want to know the weirdest thing? That guy in the white suit is 19.
What?
I know.
There's no way.
No, he's like a peer of Baki. It's so weird.
He looks 50.
I know. It doesn't make... He looks 50, he acts 50.
Yeah, he does. He called Baki a kid a few times, and I understand he's 3 years younger, but jeez.
Yeah.
He talked to him like he was a child.
No.
So wait, everybody ages regularly, other than Pickle.
Yeah, even Pickle does. He just got frozen in salt for 190 million years.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's called
Baki said he was millions and millions and millions of years old, so I thought he had millions and millions and millions of years of knowledge.
You'd think so. They do sort of they keep calling him an old man, which is
yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
It's a little rude, honestly. He looks like a child.
Yes.
Other than the physical, whatever.
It's rude, but at the same time, it's not like he understands it at all. It's not even like he has his own language. Whenever he replies, it's like bear noises.
Just grumbles.
Yeah. He can speak dinosaur. So as we move into the actual fight, Baki lands 3 very quick hits. So quick, in fact, it looks like he missed. When in reality, that was intentional. Do you want to explain what he did, Pankhuri?
So the best sentence I got from the episode that sort of summarizes what happened was when he said that if you hit something through a cushion, it doesn't hurt the person, but if you hurt the cushion, then the brain vibrates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how it was really interesting. I feel like he kept describing it as if it was a concussion, but the visual imagery of his brain vibrating and hitting his skull was really funny. But essentially what happened was that they said that Baki grazed his chin twice with his hand and once with the ankle of his foot. Except it looked like he missed it, but he just grazed it. So it came as such a shock that his jaw shook and that made his brain vibrate. And that was why Pickle had an unprecedented experience of his body slamming onto the ground, which I thought was really funny for somebody who's lived millions and millions and millions of years.
Yes, I enjoyed that too. I especially liked how he considered it like a sorcerer's spell, that the ground was coming to him. That was...
This man had transformed himself into a sorcerer who could control the ground beneath their feet.
Actually, the sorcerer part happens later. When we get into the animals, that's more sorcery.
Oh, the animal stuff is so fun. I was happy that you got... When I realized that I had given you this episode, I was glad the animals were in it. But yeah, I was happy with this because you can't tell from this episode, but this has been a season-long arc where we have learned in every fight this season, we've talked about how Pickle's neck is really strong and it prevents his skull from vibrating and giving himself a concussion, because every fighter has tried to give him a concussion for some reason. Yeah.
See, the context makes sense now.
Yeah, and apparently Pickle used to be a quadruped, so his neck is built like a cow and very solid. I don't know about the science behind that, but I'm not an anthropologist.
I don't think that person, man, whatever, has any weak spots in his body. He looked very, very tough. There was a
Wow.
lot of guts in the back.
Yes, yes. I will say he does have one weak spot. His entire skin is probably his
Ah,
his one
the
weak spot.
largest organ.
That one's a killer. It's known as the whip strike, and it has the same effect on everyone from infants to Yujiro Hanma.
The largest organ of the human body. Because I hadn't heard your podcast at all before.
Yep.
I went back and I listened to a couple of episodes, and one of the ones that I listened to was the one with Christian where he does the whip strike the first time. And I really appreciated how they kept the theme of slaps of a women just consistent through both the episodes. Like that's the one part that didn't go away.
Has there ever been another living creature that transformed itself into a whip and targeted the skin? No, not that I can think of. On second thought, perhaps there is one creature. The human female. Women have been known to do it.
Yep. Yeah, it was funny. They do basically reintroduce the same concept and spend like 3 minutes describing it in sort of different ways, and then they both finish on, but women also like to slap people.
Well, yeah, that's a great summary. Excellent observation.
Yeah.
I also was surprised that Baki's hand wasn't hurt with how strongly like he was hitting Pickle and like leaving marks all over his back. It did seem like Baki was having any sort of a reaction on his palm.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's honestly, I almost see this part of the fight as psychological warfare. Like it's
I don't know,
it's the
man. He looked
idea
like
that a slap hurts more than it actually is.
I don't know. Pickle looked like he was in a lot of pain. The whole like whenever you had Baki's handprints, everything just looked like it was on fire.
That is true. I would not want to be on the receiving end of one of those slaps.
I noticed they described it as Columbus's egg.
Yeah, that
Which-
caught my attention too.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interestingly specific reference. So I went back and I Googled it, and apparently it's an English phrase that means nothing like how Baki used it. But they used it.
It doesn't
Rather
mean
than-
like an incredible pain in like a kung fu technique.
No, apparently it means a brilliant idea that seems obvious as soon as you think of it.
Yeah, why don't I slap him? A brilliant idea.
Exactly. Like, yeah, fair enough. I'll make my body, every muscle, including face, which they made a point to mention, as loose as possible, and that's gonna feel like a rope on his skin.
I do have to wonder how much worse or how less effective it would be if his face was tight. Like I can't imagine he's getting a lot of power from that loose face.
No, I don't suppose so. I don't know, maybe his face has something to do with the spine.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That could be it. And the spine.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we've talked so much this season about the power of loosening your body. Like a guy 5 episodes back turned his whole body into joints and then was able to punch at the speed of sound. But
Huh.
yeah.
He was able to punch at the speed of sound?
Well, it sounds ridiculous at first, but think of it like this. Your body has like 23 joints between your toes to your fist, okay?
Okay.
Now, if you just imagine that you have more joints, which is what he did, so he imagined that he had hundreds of them in his arms, you're able to treat it like a whip, like it has that fluidity to it. And whips can break the speed of sound.
I'm sorry, Steve, that didn't make any more sense the second time.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what the show told me. Actually,
Okay.
I wanted to get your opinion on another part of this logic. They really wanted to get across that slaps are equally painful to everybody involved, and I think they said at one point a slap would be felt the same between a newborn baby and
Yeah.
Yujiro Hanma, who's Baki's dad and the strongest guy
Yes,
in the
I have
world.
not slapped a newborn baby, if that's your question.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, all right. If you had to
I'm sorry.
guess, though, do you think that statement holds true?
No, I have to imagine that a slap would hurt more if there's more surface area that you're slapping. So
That's a
a
good point.
baby would be smaller and would probably not like have as much at least plain surface area in one spot that my entire palm can like have an impact.
Wow, I did
I'm a
not see
little
that coming. That you would say that the baby would feel less pain than the world's strongest man.
I feel like the baby would probably be more in pain because it's smaller. I mean, it depends. How big is the baby?
8 pounds.
Okay, I was going more with age, but
All right,
sure.
two
I'm
weeks
guessing the
old.
baby will. Okay, I'm guessing the baby will cry louder. No, I'm sticking with the man would have more surface area, so it would feel the slap more.
I see. Makes sense to
Yes,
me.
I'm committing to it.
All right, and I can trust you as the expert on this because, like, women
I clearly thought
slap
about it.
and all that.
Absolutely, yeah, that is true. We do have a lot of experience slapping people.
Exactly. All
It comes
right.
with your Intro to Womanhood handbook.
All right. So moving on to the final act of the episode, Baki realizes, well, actually, Pickle gets fed up of being slapped and gets into sort of his
Hmm.
business pose, and Baki strikes a pose of his own. It's Retsu recognizes it as Koke Ken, which is the kung fu method
Yeah.
for using a tiger as inspiration for martial arts. But
Yes.
that isn't all. What else can he do, Pankhuri?
There was an eagle, there was a bear, there was a gorilla.
Yosoken. Toroken. Saruken. Yushoken.
What the heck? Is there any actual fighting involved, or does it just imitate animals?
I wrote down Kokekan phonetically so I would remember it, but I didn't write down the ones for the rest of them.
Yeah.
But there were a few of them. I thought the eagle was impressive. I especially thought the two to three renditions of dinosaurs were impressive. There was a Triceratop at one point, a T-Rex at another point.
An elephant. A rhino. No, it can't be. Triceratops.
That was interesting.
The dinosaur ones are so incredible to me because I understand that like Kokeken or like the praying mantis style, like those are real martial arts that are inspired by the movements of animals, right? Like,
Right.
but what do you do?
Yes, that's what they said. It's a style of kung fu,
Yeah,
which I'm really hoping is true.
but how do you get a real style of movement inspired by a dinosaur? Like, did Baki just watch Jurassic Park a bunch and try, or is he just I don't understand one how he can mimic it and how he can mimic it so clearly that other people understand that this is what a dinosaur would walk like. Like it's incredible.
I feel like it wasn't even that. Like his poses looked more like yoga poses, where they were like sort of a slight loose interpretation of what that animal looks like. It was more the Pickle genuinely being confused whether it was Baki or an actual T-Rex that got me. But I'm like, where do you think you are, my man? What do you think is going on? Why is he seeing an actual T-Rex?
It's a great question. I will say in Pickle's defense, he did just wake up from 190 million years ago, so maybe maybe he doesn't
So he
really
thought,
understand.
so he thinks a 16-year-old standing on one foot is an eagle? Excuse me?
Well, he thought it was a tiger, but then the tiger turned into an eagle.
Okay, so if he woke up after 190 million years, then you've got to imagine that dinosaurs are the only ones that Pickle actually recognizes, and none of the other animals at least existed in that time.
He got stung by a bee once, but yeah, other than that.
Yeah, because he swallowed the bee, a wasp, technically. It was a dumb move, but anyway. See, I told you I did my research. I read
Yeah.
about this.
No, that's good.
So I don't understand how he saw a little boy stand on one foot and went, not only do I know that's an eagle, but I also know what the fuck an eagle is.
That's
What?
a really interesting point. Like, he's most likely never seen a bear before.
Yeah, he doesn't know what a bear or a gorilla or chimpanzee or whatever that chimp was looks like. How does he know?
I think that's just a testament to how good Baki is. We've never seen Triceratopses or T-Rexes move around, but he was able to evoke that image in, Retsu and Hanayama and all the people watching it. And in the same vein, Pickle's never seen a praying mantis, but now he knows what it looks like thanks to Baki.
I think Baki is not just the strongest boy in the whole world, he's also the most magical boy in the whole world.
I think
His
the
dad's
series. I think the series should lean into that. I think that would be a good tagline to solve
right?
issues.
I should become a writer. I'm in the wrong field of work.
Oh man, yeah. That's about how the episode.
Yeah, ends. I was a little disappointed to not find out what eventually happens. I think I'll have to listen to the next episode of your podcast to find out.
Oh yeah, it
But-
gets it. He takes the imagination to the next level. So get ready for that.
I have no idea what that would look like.
Oh, you really don't. But
No, I don't.
oh man, yeah, that was it.
The
I
only
just had in my
probably-
I just had in my notes
Yeah.
one fun line from Retsu where he said, "No, it can't be Triceratops."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I note down, like, there's another one line that I hadn't said. It's just that I note down that the short guy, which I'm now finding out is a businessman, he's
Yeah.
fucking sassy.
Yeah.
He's just, you're gonna get to the point anytime soon. Like, shut up.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard somebody say that in the show through all of these monologues, and then finally he's just like, "Come on, move the plot along."
And yet, in the entire history of life on Earth, from 2 billion years ago, when proteins began the mutations that would ultimately result in human beings,
Where are you going with this?
of the many millions of creatures that have developed over that time,
You are going to get to the point eventually, I hope.
Honestly, fair enough.
Yeah, great line.
Do we see Jack a lot? Jack Hanma? Because I found out Baki has a brother, and that was interesting.
Yeah, half brother. He shows up. He was in the previous episode. He fought Pickle right before Baki did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
that was a good fight.
Yeah, he bit his ear off. Is that the right fight?
Yes. Before that, they tried a bite fight, so they both bit each other on the mouth. It was pretty hot.
Okay, the energy is strong. I love it.
All right.
You go, Jack.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the episode, and the question I think you've probably already answered at the beginning of this, but now that you've watched an episode of Baki and done a lot of preliminary research, do you think that it is a good show?
I'm sorry, Steve. I'm really sorry, but no. I feel like if you're not gonna animate people's mouths while they're talking, then my answer is gonna be no.
Yep, that's completely
And also
fair.
the complete disregard for science. Like they just said, nope, I'm sorry. Science means absolutely nothing to us. Like I can't.
Oh, science means a lot to them, but they have their own science, their own alternative
Yes,
science.
they do. Where a boy can just walk up 30 meters or 30 feet and just like jump off of the air.
Yeah.
I don't know. None of it made a lot of sense.
Oh man, yeah, no, I gotta agree with you. It's always cheap when a show doesn't animate the mouse moving. I once watched a show where they had every season they lost more budget, and you could tell that like they barely survived cancellation, and so they set a quarter of the season in space, and they could only communicate with telepathy. So there was just so many
Oh my God.
faces with no movement. It was honestly a slideshow. Anyway,
Interesting.
cool. Well, was there any other questions or anything you want to talk
Honestly-
about this episode?
Honestly, I thought this was a lot of fun. Like, I would not have watched Baki by myself, but Christian and I sat down and watched it yesterday, and I made him tell me all the background context. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's not the kind of show I would commit to, but once in a while, I it was great.
Yeah, and I
Steve,
think that's how did
how did
I?
you decide to start this podcast?
Well, you know, I found out about Baki a few years ago. My brother saw it on Netflix, watched it. At a certain point, Muhammad Ali showed up, and he just went, "This is the craziest show I've ever watched," and got me hooked on it. And then, I don't know. I always try and be making something. This is actually my third podcast, but definitely the longest running. I don't know. After me and Lindsay got married, I just wanted to try something new.
Honestly, I think it's great. I was looking at who all your guests have been, and I saw that your moms watched the show. And like, I mean, obviously Lindsay and the friend group have watched the show, but I saw names I didn't recognize. And at one point, I saw your mom, and I was just like, you know what? This is impressive. This is commitment to the craft.
Oh yeah. Oh my
If
mom
I
is.
took my mom to watch Baki, she would have disowned me. Like there would be consequences.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had that feeling introducing the show to some people. I got Lindsay's dad to watch this show. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, nice. I gotta go back and listen to that one.
Yeah.
I also think it's a waste you didn't have your mom review the virginity episode.
No, I think that was a great. That was Christian, right, for that episode.
Yeah, it was.
Wouldn't have it any
I
other
remember.
way.
Yeah, no, when I heard about it, when he'd recorded it, he'd mentioned it to me about the virginity part, and I was so far removed from the whole thing, I didn't think much of it, and then I went back and listened to the episode, and it was a really fun episode.
Oh my god, my cousin, who was on the show a while back, he's watched Baki, and so he went. He told his friends about it, and so he was like, "Hey, we should watch this fun show. It's funny." And they end up just choosing a random episode, and it's the sex episode. It's just like a bunch of guys sitting around.
I mean, honestly, if you have a lot of episodes coming up, I have a colleague who thought it was a fun idea.
I'll keep that in mind. We are actually starting to run out. I think we have. I'm gonna guess.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I got
think
your
we-
invite for the big finale party.
Oh yeah, it's spoiler alert.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah,
No worries. Don't worry. I can edit stuff out if I actually think it's a spoiler.
See, I didn't realize it was a big secret.
Yeah. Well, that's all the Baki we've got to talkie. So thank you very much for coming on, Pankhuri, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you for having me.
Whoops, forgot the fan question this week. So this question this week was, where would you place the fighters in this episode on a football team? I'm going to assume we're talking about American football. I'm going to put Pickle as the offensive line. I don't think anything could get through him. Actually, no, he'd be better on the defensive line, just sort of like somebody who's going in for the sack. He could even get into his pickle pose. We're going to put Baki as the quarterback because, as established, he can't run for sports, but maybe he can throw. Those are the fighters. I guess Hanayama we could put literally anywhere on the offensive line. And Retsu, I just don't see him playing football. All right, see ya.